future, talk radio will actually educate, inspire, and make you think. The future is now. Topics and music that affect your life from Universal Broadcasting Network. Tune in at ubnradio.com.
And welcome everyone to another thrilling and chilling and spilling installment of Dr. Judy WTF here on UBN Network. We have got an amazing and a very surprising guest here in studio today. And as usual, toward the end of the show, we will shrink that tune. And this is a call-in show, so if you want to call in and speak to either doctor, we have. I feel I'm like the odd man out here. I've got two PhDs and a PsyD here. And I'm Walt Lusk. Dr. Judy Rosenberg, of course, is here as usual. And then we have Stuart Tatkin here. He is
Stan.
Oh, okay.
See, you already blew the show.
I already blew the show. I already said I'm going to blow it. See, it's a live show, folks.
I could be Stuart.
No, what's Stan? I don't know where that came from. I should put my notes in front of me, and I would be able to do that. I'm trying to do this from memory. We were talking about getting old earlier. At least I was.
It's okay, man.
Anyway, he's a really cool guy. So you can call him, and the number is area code 323-843-2826. He's actually a clinician and a researcher, teacher, and developer of the I'm going to blow that one. I told you. Biological, I could get this, approach to couple therapy. It's called PACT, P-A-C-T.
It's easier.
Yeah, well, now we know. We've defined it, right? And he also is a clinician and has a practice in Calabasas, California. And in addition, he teaches and supervises family medicine residents at the Kaiser Permanente in Woodland Hills. I'm pretty attached to Kaiser. My dad was a Kaiser. And is assistant clinical professor at UCLA, which is where Judy met Stan. Oh. There you go. At the David Geffen School of Medicine, Department of Family Medicine. And he's also on the board of directors of Lifespan Learning Institute and serves as a member of the Relationships First Council, which is a non-profit organization founded by the Harvell Hendricks and Helen LeCayley Hunt.
That was good, Walt. You know, Stan was just asking me.
I just won't say anything at all.
I will, because I'm Dr. Judy WTF, so I will.
And the WTF stands for What the Freud, folks.
That's right.
Yes.
And we were discussing before the show whether we should use profanity or not, so that I think that answers the question right there.
I'm all full up.
Yeah, okay.
And the real reason why we're here is we're doing a series on, I'm going to try to stay focused, okay, on Dr. Judy's thesis, which is the mind map, and it's 9 panels. And those of you that are listening to the show, you can go to www.drjudywtf.com. And one of the books that Stan's written is called Wired for Love. And it's a great book for anybody that wants to be a better couple. I mean, the byline here, it's a long one too.
It's long.
I have a feeling that you're not a shy guy and not a minced for words. How understanding your partner's brain and attachment style can help you diffuse conflict and build a secure relationship. And we're going to talk a little bit about the couple bubble and some other things. So welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. I'm very much appreciating you being here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And so I met you at the conference. You were on stage, the Attachment Theory conference, and I was very, very, very blown away that our profession is so attached now to attachment theory, and that we're looking through the lens, not through the lens of necessarily just cognitive behavioral therapy and manipulating our thoughts, or behavior modification and manipulating our behaviors, or psychopharmacological interventions, but that we're actually looking to the blueprint, which is what I talk a lot about, the blueprint of how we formed the sense of self, the core sense of our being. And now, lucky for us, we have Dr. Stan Tatkin to talk about how that interfaces with relationships and how we always wanted the same thing. We want to be, don't we want to be safe? We want to have eye contact, skin contact. We want to know that we're in a safe environment. We want to be attuned to. This is what it takes to form a healthy human being. And so we're just babies. We want the same thing.
We're just babies, yes.
I think we're all just
babies.
I think we're all just big
Okay,
babies.
babies.
I think we're all just big babies.
So just tell us a little bit about, I was really fascinated with the word couple bubble, and now I'm obsessed with it in my couples therapy, and I keep telling people that, you know, you gotta be a better couple bubble, meaning that, you know, well, go ahead. What does that mean?
A couple bubble, I mean, you can think of it a lot of different ways. Couple bubble, semi-permeable membrane around the two of you, an ecosystem. This is the water that we drink as a couple, the air that we breathe, and we protect it. So being good stewards of a couple bubble means that if you and I were a couple, partners, we would protect each other in public and private. We would be the go-to people, be the first to know things. We would be experts on each other. In other words, we'd have each other's owner's manual. We'd know exactly the 3 or 4 things that made us tilted or tipped in the world, and the things we need to know to be, you know, to feel loved. But another way to look at this is, you know, being in the foxhole together. You know, whether 2 people are in the foxhole together, biologically we pair bond to, you know, to continue the species, but also we stay together to protect the newborn and each other from predators, from the environment. And so I think being in the foxhole together is another way to look at it.
Well, I was going to say, are we making love or war?
Well, that's the other book I wrote, yes, Love or War. Unfortunately, we have both in our brains. We're a little bit more adept at making war, I think.
Yes.
And the reason for that, not to besmirch the human race, but the reason for that is that we need more parts of our brain devoted to, you know, sorting out dangerous things in the environment in order to survive, in order to live. So forgive us if we remember things that are negative, that hurt, over things that make us happy, because we have to know where not to go again, right?
And as I say to my patients, paranoia covers a lot of ground.
It does, yes.
And it gives us a sense of safety, but it starts looking really weird when it's outdated, when that defense mechanism is outdated and inappropriate to the here and now. So
Right.
in a couple bubble, neither party is paranoid, and they're in sync with this bubble of safety is how I'm imagining it when I think of it.
Fundamentally, these 2 people enter into an agreement that they are going to make the world inside that bubble safer and better than the world actually is outside.
I've always called it an oasis.
It's an oasis. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's a word I've always used.
And where they protect the water in the oasis, too.
There's more water analogy. There you go.
There you go. So this is really, in a sense, a social contract, you know, where people are deciding to do things for each other that nobody really wants to do, because people are basically burdens. At least in relationship, in close relationship, people are burdensome. And so it kind of works out. I do these things for you, you do these things for me, and we're sort of each other's pain in the butt. And that's how we do it.
And one of the things that I was reading today, as a matter of fact, is how couples can extend themselves, that there's no such real thing as doing too much for one another. I mean, I guess there comes a point where there is such a thing as doing too much, but then there's this kind of a graciousness that you talk about where one partner will overextend and over really service another partner, and the other will do the same.
Yes.
Things that only paid people will do for the other.
Yeah, I mean, a question I like, yes, exactly. A question I like to ask couples many times is, why are you together? You know, what purpose do you serve? What do you do for each other you couldn't hire someone to do?
Yes.
Wow, that must get a lot of fun answers.
It does. It really does. You know, why not just get a dog? You know,
I had a lady friend I was dating, and she says, well, I just want a companion.
Right.
And I told her, I says, well, if that's what you're after, I'm afraid I'm after a little bit more.
Yeah.
Get a dog.
Get
She
a
goes,
dog.
I have one. I go,
Yeah.
well, then
Get
you're,
2.
you're
Then
set.
you're good. Then you're good. Right.
we really didn't see each other.
No,
after that.
I can understand
Guess
that. I
not.
can understand that. But it's very hard. I think we live in a certain time here. Post feminine, and the sort of revolution in terms of equality and autonomy and all that stuff. I think as a culture we're kind of confused when it comes to this idea of interdependency and relationship. What's the purpose? What are we doing this for?
Yes.
And many people can't answer the question, why are we together? They just can't, or they answer it in ways that aren't very robust.
Very real good answer, robust.
and
I want to go back to a comment you said, not that I'm trying to get you in trouble, but you mentioned, women are more involved in society than they used to be, which obviously changes the dynamics of a relationship.
Yes.
How have you seen that change in your practice?
Well, it's gone through lots of changes right over the past 30 years, 40 years. It's fine. When we get into attachment issues, which we talk about in the book, a lot of people want to ascribe gender, to it.
Yes.
And it's not a gender issue, even though there are gender overlays here. We have as many women today that are distancing as we have men who are distancing, who are, want to be self-sufficient, but to the degree where they have a hard time depending on anybody. So, this is if I don't know what it'd be like to do therapy in the 1500s or the, I'd love to see what that would be
Yeah,
like.
that would be really interesting. Yeah.
But my guess is that this problem of pair bonding or depending on another person, regardless of whether it's a male or female, has been a problem since the beginning of human relationships.
Yes.
Being dependable, trustworthy, solid, that kind of thing.
And there seems to be a trend with people that independence is very valued.
Yes.
And don't bother me. I want you to be who you are, and I want to be who I am. And I'm finding that people don't have this concept of interdependence at all.
No.
And it's almost like, if you will, a hologram of what's happening on a global basis.
Yeah.
That we are disconnected as a humanity, and we are on our cell phones. So you be you, I'll be me, and if it works for me to see you once in a while, good. But
Yeah.
don't really burden me too much with your emotions. Don't burden me too much with your problems, and let me keep my space.
Well, that sounds like a relationship of convenience.
Yes, and that's a very common. That's a very common deal that I'm seeing.
I
among
don't,
people.
because I want to, I'm a techie, so I love technology. And I do think that in large part we are more connected because of technology now.
True.
This other issue, I think, goes more to the idea of, when we are together, I think people don't know what to do with each other, at least not after the initial stages of a relationship.
Okay.
The long-term relationship. I think people know what to do in the short term.
You mean they can't just sit there and be?
I think there's no...
Is that too intimidating for one or the other partners?
Well, depending on where they come from, their background, yeah, absolutely, very. But I think in general, there's no template, there's no there's no plan. Everybody sort of has their own idea of long-term relationships. How long is a long-term relationship? Well, we live a long time now. That's a
Yes,
pretty
we
long
do.
time.
Yes, yes,
And
that's true.
And that's why people
That's
are
true.
needing a template, and that's why it's important for them to get, for you to get some sort of a manual around it. And I love the Wired for Love because it's a manual around this. And one of the questions that I had in mind was, what are the constituents, the components of a healthy relationship? As you must have asked your patients, why are you together? I ask my patients, why are you together? And sometimes, well, I love Harry because he drives a Ferrari, and I love Mary because she has big boobs. Okay, like that's a good start, but
Yeah, that's until the
okay.
tires go flat
So
and
in
everything
other
else
words,
does too.
if you can maybe clarify what are the deal makers and what are the deal breakers, and when do you fold it and when do you hold it and work harder? Do you have any
Right.
global thoughts about that? I know that's a
It's
very big
It's
discussion.
a big question. We
I
have
know.
to sort of chunk that down.
Go ahead.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm not sure about healthy. I mean, what makes a relationship that's mutually satisfying for people? I think that we have to, break this up in terms of the stage of the relationship. In the beginning, I think it is nature's way of getting us to procreate. In the beginning, we're on drugs, a certain cocktail of drugs.
Brain on drugs.
Brain on drugs.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that single people make the mistake is that they make decisions based on that early phase, and they fail to socially vet their new partner.
Okay.
And that means each other, taking each other around to your peeps, your family members, your friends, and but important that they do it with both genders. That's, I think, an enormous mistake that people will make is they don't do that. They don't do that because they don't want to, they don't have a social network,
or they just we just want to concentrate on you.
They want to concentrate, or
Yeah.
they
and,
have
and,
a
and we'll,
sense.
we'll get around to my friends, but we want to have a foundation of our friendship first, our relationship.
Or
first.
they're afraid that people are going to disapprove, so we're not going to deal with
Right.
it. So I think that is an early problem.
So are you, I'm sorry, I
No,
didn't want
go
to
ahead.
interrupt you. Are you saying that it's really important to get the feedback from
Yeah.
the people that you love, and they can smell it?
They can smell it.
say, you know what, this person just doesn't feel right.
Or I don't-
You
I
don't
don't
seem like yourself around
There
this
you go.
human being, which, yes.
Or you don't seem
Okay.
happy, or
Yes.
I don't like the you that's there with that other person.
Yes.
So, yeah, I think that's really important.
Okay.
Yeah, that we have a sort of we vet through our social network. So that's one.
Now, one of the myths that you helped me bust, and I want you to talk about it because there are many people out there wondering, do I have to love myself in order to be in a relationship? The age-old statement, love thyself first, and then you will be able to love another. What do you think about that comment?
I think it's a load of crap. I mean,
Okay.
ask a baby if a baby can even answer you. But that's to love itself first. It doesn't happen. So we don't do anything from the inside out. Everything that we do starts with from the outside in. We're regulated from the outside in. We learn about ourselves from the outside in. We get a sense of our bodies, or a sense of our emotions from the outside in. Everything comes from a relationship. So to be able to do anything by yourself, I think is, if you had to, I suppose, but you're not going to be able to get very good at relationships if you practice in a cave or a monastery or in reading books. You have to do it live.
Okay.
So
Trial and error.
Trial and error.
And-
So there's no such thing.
And
actually.
what about the concept of working on yourself so that you can be eventually in a better relationship and not do what I call what the Freud, so that if you start doing the work, if you're single now and you start doing the work to improve the quality of your core sense of self, which is panel 3, what we're talking
Always
about
good.
in essence today. What do you think of that idea?
It's always good.
Okay.
I'm just speaking to the people who wait because they think they're not ready.
Okay.
And the only way to get better at a relationship is to be in one.
Well, I mean, there's the concept in business: ready, fire, aim, right?
Right.
Or ready, aim, fire.
Right, exactly.
Or getting ready to get ready to get ready
There
to
you
get
go.
ready.
Yes.
And get ready.
We all understand how
And,
that
and
works.
10 years later,
They're still trying to get ready.
Yes.
And what do you think about the concept of chemistry? Because a lot of people will
That's such
say,
an
I
overword phrase.
don't want to date him. I'm not that attracted. I don't have chemistry. What does that mean
so
in the
interesting.
way you think about this?
Well, there is a part of our brain that selects people based on familiarity. So we don't pair bond, that is as adults, we don't pair bond with anybody that is not familial or familiar.
Okay.
We recognize the other person in some way. Even if we don't realize we are recognizing them, we are.
A kindred spirit?
It's not even that.
Or kindred flesh?
I'm going to
Kindred smell?
I'm going to go neuroscience on you.
Okay, please.
There's a areas of our subcortical brain, an automatic brain,
Yes.
is making decisions for us 99% of the time,
Okay.
and including mate selection. So I can like you on paper. Everything about you is fantastic,
Yes.
but I'm just not that into you. And
Yes.
there's subcortically, it's off.
Okay.
The other can be true too. I'm really into you, and and you're everything I shouldn't be with.
Everything I shouldn't be with,
Yeah,
right.
and
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna do it, right?
Okay.
Because I'm into you. So there's this, there are parts of us that hard to argue with, that are going to select regardless, and then it's a matter of learning how to actually live and work with that person, and then also whether that person is appropriate for the long term.
And so, according to Harville Hendricks, we
My
pick
friend.
our imagine. Yes, I know, and I have great respect for him. I have read some of his books, and he talks about the Imago Match and the
Yes.
person who will hurt you worst, and you pick that
Yes.
person in order to heal the wounds. And so, what
An
do you
attempt
think?
to heal the wounds, yes.
Attempt to heal the wounds. So, do you think that that is a
I think the chances,
good way to start?
the chance that you and I, if we met and we got together and we decided to be together for for the long run, the chances that that we have everything or most things, good and bad from our past,
Yes.
because we become proxies for everybody
Yes.
that precedes us. The chances it's high, very, very high.
It's high.
It's high. So,
Okay.
so it's not a problem of being of my picker. A lot of people complain
Picker's
about their picker.
broken,
Picker's
right.
broken. It's
Mhm,
not.
Right.
The question is, you and I can be screwed up as much as we want,
Uh-huh.
but are we willing to play the game and play the
Okay.
game of secure, functioning relationship?
I think that's beautiful, and I think that's what Harville Hendricks talks
Right.
about is the no escape policy, right? You're in and you
That sounds
grow.
bad to certain people. Yes.
Okay, but it's like the no exit, no
Right.
exit
No,
policy.
no escape could
so
really
you
scare
no
somebody.
escape, you're in jail, the
Yes.
double dungeon, which I refer to a
Yes,
lot.
yes.
And so I think what you're referring to, which is how I'm thinking about it also, it's a conscious decision to grow
To grow
and
and
to protect.
to protect and also
attune.
to play by rules of
Uh-huh.
secure functioning, principles of secure functioning,
Okay.
which is based in fairness and justice and sensitivity, true mutuality.
Okay.
And so,
Respect, really?
respect, yes. So are you willing to play? Are you willing to do it? Or are you going to run away or do things and act out? In that case, if I really want to be in a secure functioning relationship, hopefully I say, well, good luck to you, and then on to the next.
I call that a married single. They're married, but they're acting like they're single.
Yes. Yes.
Which goes along with what Walter Brockelmans talks
Yes,
about.
well, another friend.
I'm
Love.
taking his supervision class in his class right now, and he talks about the ridiculousness of falling in love. Oh my God,
yes.
falling in love. Ugh, the ups, the downs, the trauma, the drama. I just love the way he goes, I want to throw up. And he talks about how important it is, not that the two people are perfectly healthy mentally, but that in essence they know how to attune. So this is very very much in line with the thinking of our profession today, isn't it?
Think of this. People who are in the Navy SEALs. I mean, you could take anything. You could take, policemen, but let's take the Navy SEALs. You cannot become a Navy SEAL if you don't believe in the principles of the SEALs, which is basically everyone is looking out for each other.
No man is left behind.
No man or woman left behind.
Period.
You've
And-
said
Period.
that several times. I
And-
love that statement.
And
yes.
my life depends on you.
Correct.
Your life depends on me.
Okay.
We look out for each other. And these people come from a lot of different backgrounds.
Yes.
Some of them are just really horrible. And yet they believe in it. They stick to it. If they can do it, then certainly the average couple can do it. But there has to
Okay.
be some expectation.
Yeah, using that as an extreme example, what we've got is they're trained. I mean, they're ingrained and they're trained. I mean, they're go to boot camp and the whole 9 yards. I mean, they don't graduate unless that's it.
That's
and
right.
That's the whole mantra from the day they wake up until the day they go to sleep.
And I think Stan's training them, right? You're
Yes.
training them. That's what you're doing.
The
That's
syst-
what we're doing as psychologists. We're
The system
training
expects
them.
the system expects it. Just like in
Yes.
the police department, partners are often
Yes.
tighter together than
Yes, they are than their
their
spouses.
marriages.
Yes.
And many times they have a secure functioning relationship.
Now, I have a question, and
Sure.
it's a little selfish question because I have a son and daughter-in-law who are struggling because my son is Jewish and he wants to go deeper into his Judaism, and she's Catholic. and he
What a
wants
great
to
match, actually.
and he wants to express his Judaism, and she's very scared that he's going to become an Orthodox Jew
And smother her Catholicism.
And so he feels that he's confined in his growth as a Jew, and when he brings her into the functions of his Jewish community, then she feels like an out of place, displaced person. So what do you think of how do you become a couple bubble when, in essence, your isms, your Judaism, your Catholicism, isn't necessarily united?
In PACT, and I know you mentioned it earlier before we got on air, this issue of deal breakers. And in PACT, we talk about deal breakers.
Okay.
Deal breaker is, I want to raise my children Muslim. They have to be. And you say, I have to raise my children, whatever, Mormon. They have to be. That's a deal breaker, right?
Yes, I agree.
And what most people do with deal breakers, they go, well, okay, let's buy a house.
Yeah, I know.
Because when you stand at the edge of the precipice, people get scared and they kick the can down the road.
Okay.
So deal breakers look like deal breakers, but many times they're really not.
Okay.
But people have to be under a certain amount of pressure in order to come up with.
Well,
some
I know
kind of
you also
solution.
mentioned in your book about ultimatums.
Ultimatums, yeah. I'm not sure what I said, but
But no, I mean, you mentioned it earlier in your book about, that, obviously there's not a good thing.
ultimatums.
Yes.
Unless somebody is actually saying, this is so important to me, it is a deal breaker, it's your move now. And the other person says, no, I can't. And in which case we have to respect that.
Right, of course.
But most of the time people are trying to bargain with each other or leveraging each other through fear, threat, or guilt. They're not actually talking. They're not actually working it out. They're trying to bully each other into
So in other
submission.
words, in what you just stated is not the word or phrase or concept of compromise.
Actually, I'll change that. Compromise, not so much. Actually, bargaining is better. Compromise implies a little bit that somebody might be losing.
Well, a winner and a loser.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we're talking about win-win situations.
Of course.
And the people who are able to broker win-win situations are generally secure functioning. Generally people with the complexity socially, emotionally to do that. Very hard thing to do.
Yes.
So back to your story. How old is he?
He is 29 and she's 30. And he's being triggered all over the place. He'll run into an Orthodox relative of mine and go, "Oh my God, I'm betraying my Jewish culture."
Yeah.
And he's nightmaring and having a really difficult time. And he adores this woman. This is really, and
He's young.
he's 29. And they're really mature, beautiful people.
Still young.
Okay, so I mean, at the risk of my poor son, is this a deal breaker? Is this negotiable? What's your sense?
I think, as we get older, these things don't matter as much to us. I think they matter more when we're younger, and there's certain ages, certain periods of our development where they matter a lot. And certainly in child rearing becomes a big issue, right? We're going to have children.
They agreed to raise the children Jewish.
They agreed to raise it. Okay, so far this so good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think the rest of it is maybe his attitude
Yes.
about this, and why in the world does he have to give up his Judaism unless she is saying you must? She's not, right?
No, she doesn't.
So it may be something that he's struggling with internally. I don't know, but it doesn't sound like a deal breaker to me. It sounds
Okay, I
like there's something
appreciate
else
that.
going on.
So yes, I know that. Please call in. This is a call-in show.
This is
and
a
I know
call-in
you
show.
have your own questions
And
and
if you've got some
concerns
deal
and-
breakers or some attachment issues, you can call us at 323-843-2826. What?
I have another idea, by the way.
Go for it.
Just one more idea.
Sure.
Remember I said that we pick according to some familiarity, and he and
She's
she-
also Korean.
still there's
But
something
that's
there.
not a problem.
There's something there where they are more alike than not alike, and they
Okay.
may not even know that.
Okay.
On the surface, they are not alike, but somewhere else they are. Because she is so stranger-ish,
Yes.
it might be that your son is going through a period where she's too stranger-like, and
Okay.
it's freaking him out.
Okay.
that he longs now for something more familial,
Yes.
closer.
Yes.
But he did pick her.
He did.
Yeah.
And
And
she's
he-
a wonderful,
and he-
wonderful woman.
And he picked her for good reasons.
Yes, he did.
But he's at a stage of development where I think he's maybe feeling like he's straying too far from his herd.
Okay. And he has no pressure from mom or dad
It's
or
internal.
anybody. It's internal.
It's internal,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that was it,
really
you're right.
Well, I
appreciate
want
it.
to take a step back. You're talking about familiarity.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
My understanding, and I'm afraid I'm the non-doctor in the room.
You may be a doctor.
Don't be afraid, Walt.
You can
I
be a
think it's
doctor.
commendable.
Although I hold my own sometimes, is that guys pick spouses or mates like their mom, and then women pick them like their dad. I mean, in terms of being familiar, has that been your? Yeah, you're gonna roll that one too. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
We
Okay.
we pick each other. So if you and I met and we were interested in each other, we are finding parts of ourselves, parts of everybody that came before us, teachers, friends, aunts, uncles, anybody who's really important, siblings. So this idea of marrying your mother, marrying your father is really not true. We're marrying everybody we ever knew.
Okay.
And you know, we're remembering them depending on the state we're in. So memory is state dependent. My state changes, my feelings change. I'm remembering something, and so this is an illusion, but it's an important and normal one because the person we're with is primary. They represent everything that happened before this.
Good and bad.
Good and bad. They're
Yeah.
going to resonate like a bell that's ringing you. That's normal. I think
Okay.
people who think it's not normal should probably think again. It's absolutely normal,
Okay.
and but it's probably not going to go very well if you keep accusing your partner you're just like your mother or just like my father. It usually doesn't. Go
That doesn't go over well.
it
No, it
doesn't go
usually
well.
doesn't.
Just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
And we do have so many questions.
Well, one thing I felt was successful in relationships that I've always done is expectation and communication, right? I mean, you know, Friday rolls around, it's trash day. And if I haven't communicated or she hasn't communicated to me, honey, take the trash out. And, you know, the trash truck drives by and it's like, well, who the heck why didn't you take the trash out? Well, it was never communicated that was her expectation for me to take the trash out, right? So now that we have that understanding, theoretically, we can move on and go on to bigger and better things.
Maybe.
Theoretically, I said.
Unless there's a lot more trash in that relationship.
That's
right?
true. Then we always got to take out the trash.
Then we have to take that trash out.
That's correct.
The things that upset people, by the way, are not money, time, sex, or kids, or trash. The things that upset people are on a much deeper level, having to do with attunement and whether and cueing. People become threatening to each other very easily, especially as they become familiar to one another. And that I see as the bigger problem. It's not so much this or that area of conflict. It's how the couple actually deals with conflict. Do they get into a threat situation, or are they able to repair mistakes quickly, repair injuries fast? This is a big problem.
Okay. Okay. And one of the questions that I like very much is
Sure.
that you talk about the importance of being the other one's number one, but you don't think that we should keep parts of ourselves a mystery?
Well, I think people are mysteries. I mean, if I'm look, if I want to take you for granted, I'm going to well, first of all, I'm going to soak up all the novelty I can get with you, and that's going to last about a minute.
Right.
And then I'm going to either settle for my image of you, or I'm going to not. But many people don't continue to look at their partners. They don't look into the eyes.
Okay.
They don't spend time looking at details. They don't pay attention. And so people then get bored of each other. The mystery
Like
is
a painting,
always
you've
there.
got to look deeply into that painting, or,
Yes.
or a living entity, that there are details there.
Absolutely.
And we can get bored if we're not really going within.
You're predictable as long as I see you from afar. When I
Yes.
get up close, you now become less predictable
Okay.
and more exciting.
And more
So,
exciting.
yes.
Right, okay.
So that's you don't need to build a mystery in by keeping secrets. The mystery is there. People just have to pay attention.
And you can't. I'm sure you know that so many women are told, don't reveal
Right, be
yourself.
mysterious.
Be mysterious. Another question I have for you is, in terms of making a bond, a lot of people think that if they women think that if they don't have sex quickly enough with the man, that the man will leave, and the man and the woman want to be cherished
and respected.
and wait. And so, what's your view on when to bring in the sexuality when you're becoming this couple bubble?
Right.
Yesterday, today, tomorrow, next
what is
week.
it? What is it? Men
when?
use sex to get love, and women use love to get sex.
That's
or,
right. What do you think
yeah.
of that? Women use sex to get love, and men use love to get sex.
Okay, well, let's look at this neurochemically.
Yes.
There is.
I like the practical approach.
Well, this may help. That when we first meet each other, when we're infatuated with each other, like I said, we were on a cocktail of drugs. Testosterone is one of them, and a lot of exciting chemicals. One relaxing chemical called serotonin goes missing. And the reason there's a drop in serotonin, at least we think, is that nature has built in something that keeps us interested in somebody we're not yet attached to. So I meet you in a bar, and I'm supposed to, when I leave you, if you made an impression on me, I'm supposed to obsess. I'm supposed to worry. You know, am I going to see you again?
Yeah.
When should I call? What should I do?
Yeah.
That keeps me interested in you. So we kind of want that to continue a little.
Okay. Just to make that connection, just to
keep the
keep the chase going.
To keep the chase.
Yes. Okay.
But isn't that the mysterious part?
It's the mysterious part. It's the what if part. It's the I don't know. It is, but chemically, it's, I'm still on edge.
Okay.
And I think that's important to go. I mean, I'm thinking about this just now because nobody's asked me this question. So I'm thinking about this now.
I'm surprised.
Well, it's just an interesting thing. So, I think that when people have orgasms, one of the things that happens is there is a flood of other chemicals, and two very important ones, oxytocin and vasopressin, which are very relaxing, and a lot of serotonin, by the way. So, is it possible that somebody could lose interest right after sex if they don't know each other, if there's no real attachment yet?
Yes.
Possibly. I mean, if there is an attachment, which takes a little time, right? You don't attach right away to somebody. There's still a or let's put it this way, you don't know them. Okay. What's there to hold people into the saddle? I don't know, and I have no moral dog in this race. I'm making this shit up.
And that's a good pun, holding people in the saddle. I like that.
Then to back up in your book, you talk about the 3 styles of relating.
Sounded good to me.
Sounded good to
I
me.
bought it.
Yeah, well, that makes sense.
That's really good shit. You talk about the 3 styles of relating, which is the anchor, the wave, and the island.
Yes.
Can you kind of elaborate on those from your book's perspective briefly?
Well, these are based on actual ideas, attachment ideas. The names are a little bit different, not as flattering, so we're just stick with island, anchor, and wave. An anchor is somebody from birth, let's say, from birth. No, they can become that later, but comes from a family where relationships came first.
Okay.
That these family cultures are based in the relationship over self, over performance, over other things that would make the relationship unfair, unjust, insensitive. So anchors have a lot more resilience to get along with people. They're not overly afraid of abandonment or being trapped.
So they're secure.
They're secure.
Okay.
Exactly. Now work our way out, outside of that circle or that radius, and you have people who are not so secure. On the extreme would be an island on one side. An island is somebody who comes from a family where performance came first, matters of self-esteem came first, and these people don't like to depend on anybody. They loathe the idea of neediness. They pray to the altar of autonomy and independence.
They always fool me because they seem so healthy. And then they
It's
always
nothing to
make
do with
me
healthy.
feel like I'm not healthy. Look at you, you needy bitch.
Yeah, well,
My goodness.
But that's because there's so much shame around their own neediness and dependency.
Okay,
you
so
see.
they project it onto
it's a function of insecurity.
It's a function of insecurity.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
these are not healthy, unhealthy, or damaged people. This is normal adaptation to one's environment.
Okay.
So you have an environment, you have to adapt to it as an infant. People are just doing what they have to do in order to feel secure, even if it's not a real secure relationship.
Right.
So on that side, this person is afraid of losing themselves. And so when they get into a relationship, they often become afraid that they're not making the choices for themselves. They may feel engulfed or trapped. They may feel like they've lost interest or no longer feel attracted to the other person. They have a really hard time sustaining closeness without wanting to get away and be alone.
So for someone who desires closeness, don't you think that that would be a match made in hell?
Well, not necessarily, because there are islands who are recovering or have an idea, especially if they've been through this many, many times. They start to get the idea that maybe there's something wrong with me, and now they're more interested. So I would say, yeah, with somebody who's a dyed-in-the-wool and is not interested in secure functioning, dump them.
Yes.
Him or her.
Yes.
But again, this is a pay-to-play system, love, and people have to pay to play. If anybody's willing to take somebody who's not paying, then you should get rid of them, fire them.
Okay.
So the wave, on the other side, the wave is also insecure, came from a family where they were rewarded for taking care of some parent in some way emotionally. They were rewarded for being dependent, clingy, for being small, little, cute.
Okay.
And these people are very angry because their parent primary was there at times and then preoccupied at other times.
Okay.
And they felt really dumped and angry. And this happened over and over again. So these people are a little bit allergic to hope. They get very upset when they get close to somebody because they're sure that they're going to be dumped. And whereas
then they're running on the assumption of fear.
Always fear, fear
the
and
edge.
hope. The edge.
Edge of fear.
Both of them actually fear on both sides.
Okay.
Both sides are very similar in this one way. When it comes down to it, they only really care about themselves. So to be insecure means to think in terms of a one-person system. It doesn't have to be good for me and you. It only needs to be good for me. And if it's not good for you, well, I'm really sorry.
Too bad.
Too bad.
So how do people like that move from individuality into the coupling, into the we? How do we move from, as a human race, we are wired to connect. I very much agree with that. And even the island wants to connect, except that the island wants to connect from a distance. And the wave has this blinking lights kind of a attachment where they think that it's going to be on again and off again, and they live on the fear edge. So in essence, how do people, quote, make a deal to be in and securely in? No matter what the attachment style.
I think there's a realization on both parts that the war that they're always engaged in does not do them any good, and that finally there must be true mutuality. In other words, I have to accept you as you are instead of trying to attack you, criticize you, be disappointed in you. I have to take you whole, and
as you are,
and know how to work you. You don't have to be different. I know how you work. I know how to move you. I know how to do things with you. You know how to do that with me too. We are experts on each other, and that's really what we wanted in childhood. We wanted somebody who could really manage us, and we felt competent to manage them, and you do not have to change as a structure. You can still be an island. You can still be a wave. You just have to, I think, understand and realize, maybe through a lot of pain, that we are what we agree on. You and I are different, but we stick together. We do things for each other because we can, and to not do that is to suffer consequences.
Absolutely.
So thereby the couple bubble.
Thereby the couple bubble.
The investment in the we over the me. The investment.
Or as Dan Siegel likes to say, the we.
The moi?
Me and we.
Sounds so French. They're from French Canada, so moi. Moi.
The
moi. Okay.
How cool.
Yeah.
Very beautiful.
Yeah, I think there's just a reckoning, and some people don't get to this. Other people have to suffer through a lot of pain and to come to realize, this isn't working for me. All I need is somebody who is willing to do this with me, and to do it in a way that makes us both feel protected.
And so do you think that we dump a lot of people who should really be still on our radar, that we can be working with and perhaps make better deals with, that we eliminate, so to speak, because of factors that are not that valid in the long run?
I think so. I think what we're talking about here is a more mature, more adult, and really a more realistic way of looking at being together. If we were in a war-torn country, we wouldn't be worrying about whether we're soulmates. We'd be busy protecting each other, protecting our kids. We'd have more important things to think about. Unfortunately, we have a lot of time on our hands here.
And sometimes idle time is the devil's
right.
Yes.
Do you believe in the soulmate concept? Do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't.
You don't.
I don't.
You don't believe in it.
No. I believe there are many soulmates out there.
Okay. Not one that is your twin flame that you splintered off from.
No.
Well, then there's the debate of soulmate and soul match.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the deal. Every couple is unique and cannot be duplicated. It's like a fingerprint. So you and I, if this is our last stop, this is the best relationship. But if there were another relationship after this, that wouldn't necessarily be better. It would just be different because we're different people.
Absolutely.
So many times when people break up, they mourn the part of themselves that's lost, that was created in that other relationship. That relationship is gone. So to have one soulmate, I think, well, first of all, it's impossible, and that's really a downer for those people. There's a lot of downer for those people who are trying to find somebody out there.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, you just added, complexity, unbelievable. But there are many people who are a fit, but every couple system intersubjectively is phenomenological. That is to say, they're unique, and we can't explain why they are. They create a third thing that is the relationship, and that can never be duplicated once it's done.
Well, that is it for us. Unfortunately, our time is up, and it's time for us to shrink that tune.
As you say, the clock is a tyrant.
The clock is a tyrant, and we're going to have you back, Doctor.
Thank you.
The testimonials on this book have been amazing. With intense and fearless clarity, he takes you to the trenches of the combative human brain and shows you how to make love, not war. If you feel lost, confused, or alone in your relationship, get this book right now. You will finally make sense out of the chaos and pain. Now, the 3 books that Dr. Stan Tatkin has written, the first one is Your Brain on Love. We've been kind of talking about Wired for Love, and the third is Love and War in Intimate Relationships.
Right, and Your Brain on Love is audio only.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I knew that.
Sounds true.
Well, there you go. Now, what we're going to do here is shrink a tune, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the lyrics of a tune, and both of you can kind of dive in. Sure. We're going to do a song, and I know you're new to this, but it's quite all right.
Let's
the song
both
is
analyze.
called the song is called by a group called Offspring, and the song is entitled Self-Esteem. So there's a tip, right? I wrote her off for the 10th time today and practiced all the things I would say, but she came over, I lost my nerve, I took her back and made her dessert.
So what kind of attachment do you think this guy has?
That sounds very Wavish to me.
Wavish, okay.
Yeah,
so
Wavish.
here we've got a wave, and he's not quite secure here with the person, and he's in and out. He's writing her off and coming back.
Now I know I'm being used. That's okay, man, 'cause I like the abuse. Well, I know she's playing with me. That's okay, 'cause I got no self-esteem.
Again, more from the culture of wave, very wavish, but also somebody who might have been traumatized.
I think the self-esteem, the template of the past now forming a person who is going to put themselves in an abusive relationship so they can do what I call the Freud. Repetition principle.
We make plans to go out at night. I wait till 2, then I turn out the light. The rejection got me so low. If she keeps this up, I just might have to tell her so.
Well, telling her so is not the thing to do. firing her is the thing to do.
So this
Well.
is a case of knowing when to hold them and fold them. So this one needs to be folded.
Folded.
Okay,
All right.
folded. I vote folded.
When she's true, although who's got the self-esteem to do that, right? When she's saying, when
have no
she's saying
self-esteem.
all that she wants only me, then I wonder why she sleeps with my friends. When she's saying all men are like a disease, then I wonder how much more I can spend.
Well, I think you were right about the folded part. I mean, now she's
Absolutely.
sleeping with his friends. What do you think?
I think this is a long time to be in this relationship.
I think so, right? And we're almost done with the song, so we won't be spending a long time.
That's a long
on
time.
this
Well,
song.
I guess I should stick up for myself, but I really think it's better this way. The more you suffer, the more it shows you really care, right?
Yeah, this is the person that we kind of like to punch.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, I mean, really, this self-suffering kind of masochistic,
Victim.
I lock myself into a fiery barn. I lock it and I say, help me. Yeah, it's annoying.
But doesn't this kind of pick up a lot of chemicals? I mean, look at the pain and the passion, and he's after her, and she's sleeping with the friends, and
I
the
think-
more I suffer,
yeah.
the more I really care, right?
Well, like I said, this is familial. This goes back to childhood. This is an arrangement that's already been there before this person. So
The
this
template.
That's a template. Yeah, it's been
Okay.
going on.
Okay.
Now I'll relate this little bit. This happens more than I'd like to admit. Late at night, she knocks on my door. She's drunk again and looking to score.
Addiction patterns.
Well, she's just looking better and better.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
And to herself too.
Yes. But, it's really important because we look at the villain. There's no villains in couples, but we kind of vilify people. She sounds like a villain, but what's up with him?
Yeah.
He's
Well,
just home.
self-esteem.
He's just home waiting for her to come home as opposed to going out and trying to find somebody else or replace her.
Well,
or
your
be
self-esteem,
mysterious.
your self-esteem is it changes by what you do, and what he does is continually make his self-esteem worse.
There we go.
Thank you, doctors. Now I know I should say no, but that's kind of hard when she's ready to go. I may be dumb, but I'm not a dweeb. I'm just a sucker with no self-esteem.
But wouldn't you say here that the endorphins are kicking in, the dopamine? Like he's wanting to have sex with her, so she's ready to go. He's not going to say no because the druggish effect of the sexual experiences is better than, in his mind, the pain of what he's going through here.
Perhaps, although waves have a really big problem with anyone leaving.
Oh, abandonment issues.
Yeah. And it's important when we talk about waves and islands that their movements have nothing to do with love. They're just reflexes. So, of course, he doesn't like it when anyone goes out the door.
Beautiful.
But she comes back.
Well, unfortunately for both of them, yes.
When she's saying all she wants is only me, then I wonder why she sleeps with my friends. When she's saying all that I'm like a disease, then I wonder how much more I can spend. Well, I guess I should pick up for myself, but I really think it's better this way. The more you suffer, the more it shows you care. Right, really?
And I say, dude, good luck to you.
Yeah, good luck. Blueprint of health here.
That's been a song entitled Self-Esteem
Yes.
by Offspring.
It's more like self-hatred.
And
the problem here, just for your listeners, this is a good example of someone who has no principles. The person whose voice this is. If you feel that you are being abused, or you feel that it's not equal, I would suggest that not leaving a relationship is not so much about self-esteem; it's about being unprincipled. You don't.
I love that.
You
And
don't stand
I
for
talk
anything.
a lot
Yeah.
also in my practice about ethics and mental health and so on. So I think that's actually very, very well said. There are no principles.
I stand
here.
for nothing.
Yes.
Except not to be abandoned.
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Exactly.
Well said, doctors. Thank you so much. This has been...
Now that's an endorphin rush.
There you go. This has been another installment of Dr. Judy WTF with your host, me, Walt Lusk, and we've had Dr. Stan Tatkin here, and we're not going to play the song and close out. If you have any queries or questions or comments, you can write us at info@drjudywtf.com. Take care, everyone, and Doctor, we'll have to have you back.
Thank you.
La 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 la.